right, one last Capristo here.
Let's do it. Beautiful.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure. I mean, for $20,000, you can't beat it.
You know, it's not that cheap. No, I'm using the money to do something different. I mean, what do you think of my idea?
Oh, that idea?
Yeah. Welcome to Hoovie's Garage. I'll wait for these cars. One more. There we go. The dumbest real estate investor in all of YouTube. Oh, I didn't check this one. Let's make sure there's no bodies hidden under the floor. Nope, we're good. Welcome to Hoovie's Garage, the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube. And 2 years ago, when I hit 1 million subscribers, I said this car, of all the cars in my hoopty fleet, is my absolute favorite, my 1990 Ferrari 348, and that I will keep it forever. And now, well, I'm selling it, but I'm actually selling it for a reason that's totally out of left field that I'm not sure how it's going to work out. But there are many reasons why I'm selling this Ferrari 348. The first being I haven't driven it very much, if at all, in the past year, hence the dust that you see all over this thing. It's been sitting mostly on the upper part of the lift, and I've been driving other cars. I got the Diablo and the Countach and, well, the Murcielago Roadster, and this 348 sort of took a back seat to those cars. And then, well, yellow came along, a 1996 Ferrari F355, which is in the same family. You can see the cars kind of look similar but have a lot of differences. And this car, well, it makes a lot more sense for me to keep. I'm actually being smart for a change and keeping the car that will serve me best in the years to come, most likely. But that doesn't mean the 348 isn't an inferior car to the 355. It is actually better in a lot of ways. So before this car goes, which it should be going any minute now, I'm going to explain the differences between the 348 and the 355. And then once this car is gone, after, well, 2.5 years of ownership, we're going to go up and see what the money was used towards to buy. It's very, very old. So for those of you unfamiliar, a little Ferrari history in the background on this one. 1990, the first year of Ferrari 348 in the United States. It had just shy of 300 horsepower. It was owned for over 15 years by a Delta Airlines pilot and sold for $24,000 some years ago. The person who bought it is the one who sold it to me, and he spent over $30,000 sorting this car out. And the reason why he spent so much is, well, the mileage here, which is now at 108.83. So when the new owner drives this car home, he will put it over 101,000 miles. Now, I had the service records on this car dating back 20 some odd years, and that totals like $60,000 to keep this car on the road. But for me, buying this car for $35,000 2.5 years ago, I haven't had to do very much. I definitely haven't spent $5,000 on it, and I've sold it, well, for $40,000. Actually didn't lose money, but you're seeing a lot of that right now. But it's sort of to the point where if I keep it much longer, I will have to do an engine out belt service. And this car being 100,000 miles with the bus seats and the house carpet, there was a lot of homebrew repairs when this car wasn't worth very much. You know, it'll always be worth about that. Maybe it'll do a little better. Maybe with an engine out, fresh service done, it'd be a $45,000, maybe a $50,000 car. But in my experience with a car like this, it's much easier to sell when it's cheaper. You get a dog pile of people that want this car, and there were a lot of people that wanted this car, selling it to a friend of mine. But you see under the hood, mid-mounted V8 engine, a little shy of 300 horsepower. Very, very tidy in here for a 100,000 mile car. But there are a lot of critics for the 348. They say it's styled of its time. I personally love the styling of this car, even over the 355. I love the louvered rear taillights here. I love the side strakes on this thing. Yes, the styling is very much of its time, but it's from a great time, and it is really, really cool. Now, the 348 evolved into the 355. This is the same platform, and they silenced a lot of the critics' issues with these cars. Number one, the styling. This is a much more modern, timeless styling. The nose is very similar with the pop-up headlights, but you see the side treatment is a lot more swoopy and modern. And the engine, well, thanks to an 8,500 RPM V8 engine, you get 375 horsepower. So a huge increase over the 348 and a huge increase in fun in that sense. Having a car like this with individual throttle bodies and the screaming exhaust note all the way to that high RPM like an F1 car almost, it is just an incredible experience, especially with a convertible like these. The top down makes it so much better, but strangely the convertibles are worth way less than the coupes or the Targas. I'll put the bonnet down on this one too, but this one being 33,000 miles, it makes a lot more sense for me to keep. It's also a car that is rapidly appreciating, so even if I don't drive it very much, it's probably a decent investment. I say that, but these cars are very, very unreliable. They're some of the most unreliable Ferraris ever made, and compared to the 348, even though it's had a lot of work done, these are much more simple, much more solid cars with very few like huge mechanical gotchas, as opposed to the 355 where you have the valve guide. You have a whole host of issues to deal with, the active suspension, and I guess one thing I should mention, the 348 being analog everything, being manual steering, no power steering, it does handle, it feels better to me. It's more of an old school Ferrari experience, more engaging to drive in that sense, but it does feel like an old Ferrari in some bad ways as well. The transmission in this one is a dogleg 5-speed, which does take some getting used to, and like an old car, the transmission does need to warm up. You kind of have to feed it in. It's not, you know, instant like you would have with a modern transmission, but the 355 is still gated, but you can see a much more smooth, just buttery action and a 6-speed. So there are some pluses and minuses to both cars. I am very sad to see this one go, and I guess it's time for its last drive. Oh, this is it. And the buyer's here. Brent.
You sure you're ready to let her go?
No, I'm not. So Brent, Side B Productions, he's the man behind Car Trek, the guy that really, one of the people that made it possible in the beginning. Still with us today. We've done 8.
8, yes.
And you drove this car years ago. He's done car issues with me as well, with his production company.
Yep.
And you drove the Ferrari once and you said if I ever sell it.
Fell in love with it.
Well.
And I begged you to sell it to me for about 6 months, probably. I
yes.
even offered to trade a GTR to you for it.
That would have been a good trade, actually.
For you, yes.
It would have, it would have. But yeah, at any time you can change your mind. I know you've driven up from Texas, but let's go on my last drive and then you can change your mind. This thing is an enormous pile of crap, let me tell you. It's just,
yeah, I think, no, I don't think so.
You hear that? Did you hear that? The knocking?
Sounds perfect.
It's not.
I think it sounds perfect.
Yeah, it's totally loose and worn out. I mean,
it's awful, just awful.
What am I doing? I'll sell this and I'll never find another one again for double what I'm selling it to you for with the way things are going.
I mean, we have an agreement.
We do.
You know, it may come home to you one day. You never know.
I did say first right of refusal, yep. So when you get tired of it, which takes you about 3 to 5 years usually, right?
Yeah, 3 years-ish.
So maybe it'll be back.
Oh, amazing. Sounds amazing. I mean, I think you should replicate the seats in the 355 to match these, you know. These are way better.
They are good. They are very cool, but I think the internet would
hurt you.
Oh yes, yes.
Fair.
All right, one last Capristo here.
Let's do it.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure. I mean, for $20,000, you can't beat it.
You know, it's not that cheap. No, I'm using the money to do something different. I mean, what do you think of my idea?
Oh, that idea?
Yeah.
I mean,
a whole new world. Well, it's a sad day for the garage. The 348 is gone. It was my favorite car, but the 355, I mean, it's a beautiful constellation, does everything better than the 348, and it looks fantastic. I will miss it though. And if you're wondering why I'm standing out here in the cold and the rain and cars going by with this building behind me that says going out of business, well, welcome to Hoovie's Garage. I'll wait for these cars. One more. There we go. The dumbest real estate investor in all of YouTube. I have bought this building. It is a 90-year-old, started life as a grocery store, and well, I paid cash for it because I sold the Ferrari. The majority of that money went into this building, and I have no idea what I'm doing, but let's take you on a tour. So today is actually the last day of the seller to get all of his stuff out of the building. I'm doing a final walkthrough, and then I didn't really walk around the building all the way, so let's go around this thing. It's about 3,500 square feet. This is the original building, and there was this addition here. You can see it goes a little bit lower, but one thing I didn't do before, I didn't walk all the way around it, and well, that probably would have been a thing to do, but you can see a modern HVAC unit, siding. Oh, we even have a little back garden here. Oh, this is definitely somebody else's property than they're growing things, so I shouldn't go back there. But anyway, it's a really nice, cool building. It was only $75,000, which if you live anywhere other than Wichita, Kansas, would seem like an absolute steal. And well, it is a pretty good deal in my opinion. You can see the nice tile on the roof. It does have a new roof in 2019, modern HVAC, a lot of other touches. It was not original, like needed to be completely redone, but it does have some wear and tear here and there. Free stuff outside if you want anything, but it'll all be gone by the time this video comes out. But you can see, you know, a little wear and tear in the stucco here. There's some brick probably deep in there somewhere. And yes, it does have a garage door, but it couldn't really be used for storing cars, which I'll explain. We can go inside. I am so out of my element here, but this is it. It's about 3,500 square feet, and it does have a new roof, but that wasn't before, well, some water damage actually kind of got into the roof. So it does need some repairs here on the inside. And this building has worn a lot of different hats. Like I said, it started life as a grocery store and then a butcher shop, and then a long time it was a furniture store, and the last iteration for about 15 years this has been an upholstery shop. And coincidentally, this is the same place that did the seats on the Ferrari 348, the crazy bus seats. He actually bought the fabric from the people who went out of business that were in the Wizard shop doing bus like upholstery and interiors, saved the fabric all these years later and put it in the 348. Now he's sort of retiring, he's gonna work out of his house, still do some stuff for us, but he doesn't want this big building anymore, so I bought it, well, for $75,000. Hopefully somebody sees a use for this building and I find a tenant. Like I said, I have no idea what I'm doing, but one cool part, he did add this garage door and this concrete floor here to bring in one car so he could work on cars inside, but you can see the rest of it is, well, the original sort of wood flooring. He did put in a new subfloor and tile 15 years ago, and there's a little bit of wear and tear, but overall you couldn't drive, say, a heavy car, because if you look inside, well, it's, yeah, it's all wood. This is sort of a tornado shelter or a way to access some utilities and things. It is very dark and musty, and you can see it's a wooden floor. But the good news is it's been raining like cats and dogs for the last 3 days or so, and the roof is totally dry. All the previous damage seems to be from before the roof was replaced. This corner here as well, totally dry now. But the cool part is there is an addition to this building, and that's this right here. So this is actually on a concrete floor, and you see there's a double door there. Maybe a garage door could go in, but this is sort of a weird addition that I'm not sure what you'd use it for, maybe for offices, and this was the showroom when it was a furniture store. I have no idea, but you can see there's a modern HVAC unit, a sofa that is going out, a little stage here, which is interesting. I'm not sure what the stage would have been used for. And then a creepy little cubbyhole right here. So it's an interesting building. It's very large. It was very cheap. But, you know, rental prices aren't that high here in Newton, Kansas. One last little spot here is the bathroom. Once again, you go down, and a pretty good sized bathroom that also houses a lot of electrical boxes and the original probably wood siding from the building 90 years ago, which is kind of cool. So a cool history of the building. Certainly has a really nice curb appeal, and all the damage seems like it's just on the surface. So clearly I have no idea what I'm doing. If you can tell, I'm pretty overwhelmed. I don't know what to do with this thing. Hopefully I find a tenant without spending too much fixing it up. And if you like the new Real Estate Investor Hoovie, be sure to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to Hoovie's Garage. I mean, it does technically have a garage in it, so it still is a garage video. And who knows, maybe this is the start of me being some kind of hoopty real estate mogul. I have no idea. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, I didn't check this one. Let's make sure there's no bodies hidden under the floor. Nope. We're good.